Hi all, good evening. Let's wait for another 1 minute.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, good evening. Hope you are getting my screen. Anybody can confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So our today's topic is entirely, I would say, theoretical. So today we will discuss about the software engineering methodology, which is popular nowadays, Agile. So we are having around 60 years of software development history with us, and we have started writing programs in late 50s. Computers were around us from the first world war time. It is in 40s we were having our first generation computer, but general purpose software we have started writing from the 1960 and then thereafter. So far we have seen so many different development methodology like waterfall, spiral model of software development. Now we are having a new buzzword which is around us for the last 7-8 years, agile. Another buzzword was RAD, rapid application development. And these are the basically topic we generally cover in the software engineering subject. This is very important topic because if you want to just become a coder is a person or is a designation where you translate the English problem, means whatever the English description of the problem, into the language which computer can understand, or computer can understand with the help of compiler or translator or assembler. Writing a program is only about 2% of overall software development life cycle. So I'm just giving you another word. It is SDLC, software development life cycle. In the process of software development life cycle, we divide all the steps into multiple phases. Like first phase is the information gathering or the defining the problem. Then we, for the process of defining the problem, we do lot of interviews, system studies. We see how they are manually doing the things at present, what the process model they are following, how they are completing their any particular task. Then we model those things in such a way so that we can write a software to do the similar thing or to do the some part of the process. For an example, if you take from the e-commerce website, so whatever we are doing in normal physical environment, closely we are doing the same on the virtual platform like websites or the mobile applications. Now coming to the next problem. Whenever we are working in a team, we need some sort of communication to do our job every day. For that also we are having different methodologies, different style of working. Nowadays in a software development company, we are heavily using agile methodology of software development. So let's start today's session. We will discuss few buzzword, few key terms from the agile methodology, and then Scrum. Scrum is another way of agile. So what is the agile methodology? When we are working in small pieces and we are communicating with all stakeholders on approximately daily basis, or we are having a person designated to do so. Means there is no requirement that every engineer will talk to customer every day, but frequently on the behalf of engineering team, some of the designated person from our team or our group will regularly communicate with the customer or other stakeholders who participate in the software development process. So this is a simple picture. In agile methodology, we work in iterations. Means we develop small piece of application or a small part of the application, small feature, and showcase our development before the customer or the different stakeholder, and we gather the reviews, we gather the feedbacks, and then we start our second round of development. In Scrum, it is called sprints. We will talk on this later. So this is a very simple agile methodology picture. It shows us that we start developing the application in iterations, and then after getting the acceptance from the customer, we release it. But it is not a complete software. Again, it is only a portion of software. It covers only few features of the software. So we will again go for the next iteration. We implement the changes, and we reprioritize, adjust our development speed also based on the previous round of development. So what are the basics agile values, principle and practices? From the agile manifesto, we try to achieve these four basic values, which is basically people centric and result oriented rather than rule centric, or I would say process oriented. So in agile methodologies, we primarily value communications, interactions, and individuals over the process and tools. We believe that we should showcase the working software, small working software, rather than preparing the comprehensive documentation, writing all kind of contracts. We love to respond to changes rather than following a plan. Like in traditional way of software development, first we study the whole system, then we design the whole system, then we document as much as possible contracts, rules, whatever input forms, whatever output forms, everything will be documented before the writing any single line of code. But in agile methodology, what we do, we understand a small portion of software, a small steps, and then we build a minimum viable product, MVP. This is another a key term in agile methodology. So we develop some of the features, very basic features, and demonstrate before the client to get the feedback. So in the fourth value, it is a customer collaboration. Means on the regular interval, we interact with the customer, we shows our progress, we take their feedbacks rather than contract negotiations. That okay, as per the contract, we need to ask to develop such features. It is not happen in the agile. Then there is another key term, Scrum methodology versus Kanban and versus Scrum Band. So we are generally having two type of way to adopt Agile. One is Scrum, other is the Kanban. In software development, I have seen so far only Scrum is the valuable or most adopted way of development rather than Kanban. You have seen in the industries, mostly in the manufacturing industries, they are having belt system. Like, I'm just taking an example of mobile assembly line. So if you visit any mobile assembly industry or firm, you will see that people are sitting in a row, and every person has a set of work to do. Like, one person is attaching camera to the phone, other person is attaching mic or speaker in the board of the phone, then other person will test screen, the other person will test software, the other person will just assemble it in one full mobile handset. In the next step, the other person will package it, and so someone will paste labels on the boxes and all. So this belt system process kind of thing is greatly taken care by the Kanban system, where timeline is important, process steps are important, everything is defined, and everyone is doing the same thing again and again. But in the Scrum methodology, we are having backlog. We don't know what will we fall in the backlog. Backlog is a list of tasks, to dos, which we can take up in our upcoming sprint. We will talk about all these keywords, what is a sprint, what is backlog and all. So there is another way to mix these two methodology, that is called Scrum Band. So some of the activities in the software development also can be think as a belt. For an example, your DevOps task. You need to build a pipeline, you need to deploy regularly on regular intervals. That is can be maintained using the Kanban board and all. But in the software development, you're when places where you writing the code, you are building something, you don't know what will come next. So Kanban cannot fit into that situation. In the next slide, this is a sprint way of working. So we are having input from the end users, customers, teams, and other stakeholders. There is a person designated to collect all these information, list it, and the person known as the product owner. It is not necessary that product owner should be come from the engineering background. He may be an MBA person, especially MBA in IT is the most suitable person who do this thing. But product owner should have a good communication skill. He must explain nicely to the customers and understand the customer's problem also. So product owner is the person who interacts closely with the customer and other teams. He bring list of tasks to be done, and he simply put all the tasks into the product backlog. So product backlog is the list of tasks which can be taken up in the next session or the next sprint. Then we are having team. Team is a here in the sprint or agile methodology. Team is a group of people who can take some of the responsibility on their own. It means if it is a web development team, then there should be one or two engineers who can nicely work on the back end. There is one or two engineers who can greatly work with front end. Then there is a tech lead also who can support the engineers if they are struggling with any challenge. And then there is a Scrum Master. Scrum Master and Product Owner. These are the nearly non-technical jobs, but they understand the system. They understand the terminologies. Non-technical doesn't means that okay, we are talking about databases, primary key, some technical issues, some logs, some cloud buzzwords, some DevOps tool, what is Jira, what is GitLab. So they knows these things also, but they are more focusing on the task and customer communication. Then from the product backlog, we are moving the things into sprint backlog. What is a sprint? Sprint is a 2 weeks time normally, but it can be set into any denomination. Like sprint can be of 1 week, 2 week, 4 week, but mostly it is 2 week sprint, because in 2 week sprint everything can be managed nicely, but it finally it depends on the project to project and organization to organization how they have set up their culture. So from the product backlog we are moving some of the problem statement or task into the sprint backlog. Then we are having grooming sessions. So in the grooming sessions we discuss closely about the problems, how we can deal with the challenge, what are the other requirements. Maybe it is functional, maybe it is non-functional, maybe it is from the designs or from other engineering teams, any communication is required. So everything is decided, and then we are deciding how much efforts it will require. So this is the beauty of Agile, that every problem before putting into the actual sprint, it is groomed properly. We know the problem, we know the solution, approximately solution, not the exact solution, approx solution. We know that efforts it required, and then we are making a sprint. Sprint is a 2 weeks timeline. We are having separate some formats or the trackers for the sprint also, in which we are putting level of efforts, LOEs, and how much buffer we are having, and how many uh, strength we are having. For an example, in a sprint, in a team, we are having 7 people, and we will work for 15 days. And for other things, we are keeping some time, and then we are making it 5 hours every day. Every person will work. So every person will work for the 5 hours in a day. It means 35 hours in a day a team is having with them. Then usually in the 2 week sprint, there will be 10 working days. So it will become 350 hours of the availability of the engineer's time. Then in the sprint, when we are planning, we are minus if the engineers are on leave, planned leave. So approximately we are not approximately, definitely we know how much efforts we can put in a particular sprint, and we are having the list of tasks along with the level of efforts. So by the matching of these things, one more thing we can cover into this is how much percentage of the time we will cover up in the ticket assignments, that is 80% or 90% or 50%. Nearly 80% is taken as a good percentage to make or mark a sprint as a successful sprint. Then in our tool, whatever the tool we will use, I will talk about Jira later on in this session. So we are having sprint backlog. We are moving the tickets or the task issues in a particular sprint. And then we start the sprint. Start the sprint means what? Once the sprint is started, usually we are not changing the goals, or we are not adding or removing any tickets from the sprint, and it is logged and sprint has started. So from the beginning of the sprint, every engineer knows what he needs to be delivered in the upcoming 2 weeks. Scrum Master knows what is the how many tasks are there. Product owner is also knows what the team is doing. So everything is in a proper black and white way. Everyone knows what he is doing, what his team is doing. Customer is also looking on the boards, so he can also understand how much efforts one team is giving to solve their problems. Then every day when the day starts, we are having a daily scrum meeting, or it is popularly known as the daily stand-up meeting. So in the daily stand-up meeting, typically 3 questions are asked with everyone, every engineer. What he did last day after the daily stand-up meeting, what he is planning to do today, and then whether he is having any kind of blocker or any problem he want to discuss with the product owner, scrum master, or the customer. So everything is taken care in the very first hour of the day in the daily scrum meeting or daily stand-up meeting. It is called stand-up because usually it is 15 minutes to 30 minutes. We are not taking too much time, and we are not talking in details, because everyone has to submit his progress or his today's plan. Then, and at the end of the sprint, when we are closing the sprint, we can see that how many tasks we have completed successfully, how many tasks are spillover. Spillover means we could not complete due to any certain reason in this sprint, and the task will be moved forward to the next sprint. And then we are having a retrospection. Retrospection is another important meeting which held in every 2 weeks time. If the sprint is of 2 weeks, that what we did well, what we did not well, what we can do to overcome the problems or the challenges we faced in the current or the past sprint. So this is the usual way of working in the sprint or agile methodology, where we have the product backlog, sprint planning meeting, sprint backlog, then retrospection review, and daily stand-up meeting. This way we are having engaged everyone every day. So typically we are per engineer basis, we are bifurcating the task into 3 categories. What is he is having in his sprint, that is the to do. What he is presently doing, it is doing, and what he has did in this sprint. So all these 3 categories of the task is only related to the running sprint. Okay. Why is agile scrum band methodology important to system analysis? Because for the engineer, what he is doing, what he has done, and what he has left to do in a particular sprint, that is important. And for the product owner, scrum master, and scrum team, the scrum master and the product owner take care of the engineer's need day-to-day basis so that they can do their work. So this basically makes a team very clear on their goals. Every day they know what are their goals, whether they are on the track or there is any slippage. So everything is very measured and known to everyone. This is the beauty of agile methodology. One more important aspect in typical SDLC or any other way of software development, we focus on documentation in the beginning of the project. But in Agile, we do approximately 90% of the documentation in the later part. In the first part, we heavily focus on the minimum viable product, MVP. Means our focus is on to deliver some functional, some working software. Maybe it is not covering all the requirements, but still we can show the progress. For an example, if I want to create a website, in the first week of time, if I am able to demonstrate at least user registration and login module to my customer, he will feel very comfortable that okay, I can see something has built, rather than if I am presenting only the possible screens, input screen, some dump screens, that okay, this is our plan, or this is the software development methodology we are using, this is the contract, before doing anything you have to agree upon this. So rather than if we are showing them anything which is working, not 100%, not 50%, at least 5%, the customer will happy to see that his work has been started. And this is the beauty of Agile methodology, that we are not focusing to develop entire software, then only we will demonstrate anything before the client. Rather than we are developing very small piece of application, but it should be functional, working. So far we have discussed about different key terms. Now I am summarizing some of the key term in the next slides. So we have talked about the sprint. Sprint is a 2 weeks time in which we have defined level of efforts, our bandwidth, how many engineers, how many hours they will work in upcoming 2 weeks. That is called bandwidth. And how much task we will complete, that is known as the goals. So these three things, level of efforts, bandwidth, and goal statements, makes a sprint. Then we are doing sprint planning. So during the sprint time only, we are planning for the next sprint also. So for one sprint time, in 2 weeks time, we will dedicate 1 hour at least to do the planning of the upcoming sprint. And it is usually held at least 2-3 days before the end of the current sprint. Then product logs or product backlogs. So this is the responsibility of product owner and business analyst who fills this form or who fills this task list. From the product backlog, we are doing product sprint planning. Daily Scrum meeting, we have talked about that this is happening every day in the beginning of the day, and it is usually 15 to 30 minutes. Every engineer has to say what he is doing today and what he did yesterday after the spring meeting. Sprint review, it is happening in the last day of the sprint usually, and retrospection can be done on the last day of the sprint or the first day of the next sprint. So sprint review and a sprint retrospection, both are at least 45-30 minutes to 1 hour meeting. Then product owner and Scrum Master, this is not the forms and all, this is the people. This is basically a designation or a role from the teammates. Someone is playing the Scrum Master role and one is playing the role of product owner. And these are the generally shared roles. So one product owner is helping around 2-3 engineering teams to get their product backlogs. And sometimes Scrum Master is also a shared role, so he is taking care of more than one engineering team. So Prashant, can you say that in your company, are you people having common shared Scrum Master or having a dedicated Scrum Master?
Sir, unfortunately,
Hello, Prashant.
it's a completely technical team. So we do have a product owner and a product lead, and product lead kind of dons the role of Scrum Master also.
So
So there is
product
nothing.
lead is playing the role of Scrum Master. Means he is asking, okay, whether we are on
Yeah, so
track or
like
not, or
he
there is a
handles multiple
squeeze.
sprints.
Anna,
Yeah.
so that particular person is taking care of Scrum as a working as a Scrum Master for other team also, or for only for your team?
Yes. No, multiple teams.
Multiple teams. So it is a shared role.
Yeah.
Okay.
And same goes for product owner also.
Yes, yes, definitely. Usually, if we are having team of 5 or 7 people, okay, then the product owner is working for around 28 or 21 people. Means at least 2 3 engineering team he is taking care. Okay, thank you. So I have also seen in few organizations, at least in HCL also. So we were having shared Scrum Master and dedicated product owner. Scrum Master was shared. So now again to summarize the things, sprint. Suppose you reach out to us with new website creation. This huge task will be divided into smaller periods of time called sprints, usually 2 weeks. According to the best Scrum practice, we usually set an optimal time of 2 weeks for a sprint. Each sprint is focused on achieving a particular realistic goal. The sprint goal is set by the product owner or their representative. A sprint is also made up of individual tasks, the most complex of which can further be divided into smaller tasks. A small task is one that can be performed by one team member in a few hours, for example, creating a registration form on your website. Planning, this is a very important steps in the sprint or agile methodology, that before doing anything we do planning. It means we do our capacity estimation, we do our problem LOEs, level of efforts, means how much time we are having in our team and how much time it will take to solve the problem. So before starting the working on the problem, we think for the problem and we gather the related information from different sources. Product backlog, this is a list of tasks for the entire project, is called the product backlog. We create it together with the product owner. The task is the backlog, have varied priorities according to them. Means task backlog means some problem is P1 critical problem, something is P2, that is blocker. So we take up the blocker or critical problem before any feature enhancement or the bug solving, simple bug solving, means P3 P4 tickets. Usually P1 is the critical ticket, and company normally having some kind of SLAs also, that okay, if there is any P1 ticket, it must be resolved in 1 day time or 2 hours time. So these kind of SLAs, if there, then we deviate from the all this kind of arrangements of sprint planning and grooming and daily stand up and then retrospection. Sometime if it is a very bad luck for the team, and if the team is getting 4 or 5 P1 tickets or issues, then definitely the goals which we have set in the start of the sprint may be deviated, but at least in the last, when we go for the Retrospection, we can think of it why the sprint was failed. If it is due to any uncertain, unforeseen reasons, then everyone understood the problem or agree that okay, the failure of the sprint is not due to the any mismanagement. Something happened with the system and we have to do that on priority basis. Then definitely we have already talked about the daily scrum meetings. What have the teammates done since the last meeting, what the teammates are planning to accomplish before the next meeting tomorrow, any obstacles they are having today, and any kind of support they want from other team member or other teams also. Then sprint review. At the end of the each sprint, we use the great practice of sprint reviews, and everyone has opportunity to talk about any issues he faced. So this is a very collaborative, communicative environment, and the way of working is very open that allow to ask questions, to give feedback, to introduce new ideas, and anything if engineer thinks that can be add value to the our day-to-day development. So this way, actually, when you provide opportunity to everyone to speak out about the problem or the ideas, then definitely the team will get benefited out of it. The organization will get benefit out of it. One kind of transparency is there, and one kind of interdependence is there. It is not dependency. Dependency is a negative word, but interdependence is a positive word. Everyone knows what the other is doing, and in case of any critical issues or the absence of one engineer, the other engineer can take up the work. It is not like that okay, he is knows only the things what he is doing, and nobody can take his job. We have to wait till he is come back on in the office. It is not happening usually in the agile. Am I right, Prasant? Actually, you are working in agile, and others, other who is there who works in agile methodology. Shahid, are you working in agile methodology or some other methodology?
Sorry, sir. Come again.
You are working in agile methodology or SDLC?
No, actually, a SQL relational database, right? So Agile is
Okay.
basically different.
Ah, yes, yes. So basically, every ticket is P1 ticket for you.
Yes, yes.
So no need
Only
to plan.
yes,
Only
only
need to
for
pray.
yes, yes. Only read write permission. It's P2 or P3. Otherwise, all the ticket is P1.
Okay, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
life is easy.
Not easy. It's challenging, but yeah, it's enjoyable.
Okay. And Prasant, what is your say on the agile methodology overall? Where it is good or it is waste of time?
अच्छा ऐसे
Actually, see, I have taken 5 hours in a day for the development and rest 3.5 hours for the meetings. Scrum meeting, retrospection meeting, product grooming meeting, backlog grooming meeting, and all. So
Yeah, so
in when we are working in agile methodology, sometimes it is only meetings and meetings.
अगर issue आ गया, problem आ गया, इसको देखना पड़ता है.
So what
I
is your
mean,
say? Whether it is good
one of
or
the
it
good
is a
things,
waste of time?
about is that your work hours are kind of already documented. So if you are saying that you're working for 5.5 hours, so you're accountable for that only that time, right? So nobody is asking you to work for 9 hours of deliverable time. So that's one thing, and the logic behind all this meeting is about the exposure and visibility across the teams, and like Scrum daily stand up happens, but that's like time bounded, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and that's it, and the rest are like ad hoc calls. So this works. I mean, either which way you have to kind of quantify the tasks and this helps you in that. So this seems like a good practice, but again, what we learn in a theoretical way, that's different, and how it is implemented in actual world is a bit kind of a
Yes, everything is
weird
not.
way of.
Yes, everything is not as colorful as we have discussed in this session.
Yep, yep.
Okay, that okay, there is no dependency and there is
So I've
interdependence.
seen, I mean, I've seen tasks being put on hold just for dependency, and like few members are not there, and some access is required, and few tasks have been put on hold because of that, and that kind of mess up the entire sprint's velocity and all. But that's the way it is. I mean, there are plus and minus of this entire methodology.
Yes, and it is not happening for every sprint.
Yep.
So it is the time to time. Basically, something is coming in our way. So retrospection is a very positive thing. I love this. Because retrospection allow you to go back into the past and see what you did, what you can did, and everything. So it is basically whenever you start documenting your failures, definitely it will help you to learn better and not to repeat in next time. So whenever you do retrospection in any part of life, like it is not only in the professional life or in company or in agile methodology or in software development, rather if you are doing retrospection in your daily life, means if you are writing daily diary and you look back into your diaries, what you did last month, what you did last week, what you did last year, whether your new year goals was achieved or your new year goals was failed, then definitely you will have some chance to work on it. So retrospection is always good thing. Self retrospection is also allow you to look back into your past mistakes basically. Then we have talked about the product owner and scrum master. So product owner and scrum master is the person who basically bring task for you and who basically monitor task what you are doing in a sprint. So this way you are having someone on top of you who every day ask, do you have any problem today in your planned activities, what you did last day. And if it is 2 weeks sprint, then from the last means from before the end of the sprint 2-3 days, he will start pinging you every hour. Sprints are not on track. So you stretch, you work, anything you want, let us know. We will facilitate you. Whether it is some kind of reviews of the code or some information you want from the customer or any other team, they will help you to collaborate with the other ones and they will facilitate you greatly to do your work. So basically all these two roles, product owner and scrum master, are your real well wisher, I would say. but normally we are taking as okay, product owner is the person who just pile up the task in the sprint backlog or the product backlog, and scrum master every day have hunter in his hand and he is asking every day what you did today, what you are doing today, what you did last day. So, but when you look back and see, you will find their roles are very positive in your career and your overall development also. And whatever you have achieved in a particular project or in a particular role in your company, you will see that because of them you could do this thing. Am I right, Prashant?
Yeah, sort of.
Yes, so this is the topics we have covered today. And you can read about agile methodology, Scrum, various activities of Scrum. Basically, it is known as Scrum ceremony. So all these are having defined time schedules and the stretch of time. Like daily stand-up meeting will be for 15 minutes to 30 minutes. That's it. It is fixed. It should be start on time and it should be finished in scheduled time. We are having scheduled Scrum retrospection, sprint retrospection, or we are having scheduled grooming sessions. It will happen on time, and then we are having one or two advanced sprint planning, so that every time we know what is in our plate right now and what we are having in our backlog. So this makes something you basically there is a transparency of the task among the team, and everything is planned, so this can be calculated also. So it is basically makes sense when you are thinking, okay, I am doing a lot of job and other is not doing anything. So you can see that, okay, he is also on the sprint planning. He is also allocated some of the task, and this makes basically a good team working environment. So basically, these two things, agile methodology is the overall way of working, and sprint is the part of it. And learn, read more and more about these topics. This is basically, definitely you are not going to become a scrum master or product owner in near future. So you will get someone who will work like this for you. But if you know the terminology, you know the keywords they are using, then you can easily understand what they are saying. So these keywords, whatever we have discussed today, sprint planning, retrospection, grooming, LOEs, efforts, burn down chart. Okay, we have not talked about burn down chart. Burn down chart is just like in the beginning of our planning, we have discussed, okay, we are having 350 hours in a 2 week time, and we have this much task, and every task is having some of LOEs. Based on that, we are making one chart that is called burden chart, and it is every day we are matching the estimated planned work with the what we have achieved or what we have completed. So this way we are having a chart in which we can see that, okay, whether we are on track or not. So this is known as the burn down chart. So when you read more about these things, you will come across with more buzzwords or the technical words we are using in our day-to-day communication. So this is not going to improve anything in your logical brain. You are not going to learn any new syntax or the library function or the logic or the deployment or the development or IDs, servers, nothing. But this is the way how engineers are communicating in a software development company. And this is also a very important aspect when you are entering into a software development company and someone is talking to you in abbreviations. What is the full form of what is this? IMHO. I have written in last communication in MS in this WhatsApp. What is the full form of IMHO?
Gen Z talks. In
Huh?
my
Huh?
honest opinion,
Yes, in my honest opinion. So this is another buzzword. This is another abbreviation we are using a lot in our day-to-day communication because someone is asking regularly.
BRB.
Okay, thank you for attending this session, and you read more and more about this agile framework, the agile methodology and the sprint scrum methodology also, so that you will be also the part of a engineering community who works in the software development firm. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good night,
Thank
sir.
you, Jainab.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks all.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
night.
Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.
Sir, could you please share this PPT?
Yes, yes, it will be posted on the website, course website.
Okay, sure, sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks all. Good night.